Hello and welcome to Westerly Racing. This is the virtual racing 3.9. That means we're at the 9th race already in this, the 3rd season of the Westerly virtual racing on RGT. Tonight's race is a 10-mile straight TT on the official TT course of Waltham St Lawrence. Unusual to have a TT in the Westerly. We don't often have those. It's more sort of crit racing, but it's going to be a quick TT. I'm Riley Harvey for Virtual Cycling News. I'm joined by Mike Lister and going live to Mike, who's also racing tonight. Hi Mike, how are you?
Hi there Riley, hi there everyone, thanks for tuning in. Yep, I'm going to be riding this evening, taking on 2 laps of this Waltham St Lawrence route. It's 15.5 kilometres in total, pretty much a standard 10-mile TT, very popular course length here in the UK, and our riders will be going off one at a time at 5-second intervals, and we'll be trying to hunt each other down. I don't think anyone's going to get lapped today, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some very fast times. Looks like we are going in a anti-clockwise direction. You can see there on the screen. Got a couple of tight corners, but it's fairly flat. There's not much elevation on this route today. I know you've been looking through the rider list, Riley. Anyone caught your eye? You've got a few favourites that you're going to be watching for this evening?
Well, there's obviously yourself, Mike. Very talented rider.
Well,
I don't
thank you, but I'm not. I'm just going to butt in because, yeah, TTs, I tend to fade quite badly. I'm not very good at pacing, so you might regret that comment later on.
I don't think you can deny the strength that the Racio Racing guys have shown through their recent Ikigai series, but also they finished that with an 8-hour ride of the Gran Fondo. They're going to have had a little break and be coming into this with some very strong, fresh legs. So I think all of the guys from that racing series will be interesting to watch. And it is a relatively short TT, so maybe Nick Greenhouse might be up there. Anybody that you're looking
well in the Ikigai TT, didn't he? He was really good. But I've got a little poll on our YouTube feed, and I've got a few options there. And currently Mark Rowbottom, one of the other Ratio boys that you just mentioned, he's our current favourite, so one to watch out for.
We're underway already. We've 2 riders off the line there. Dave Morrison first one off the line, followed by Bergfist, and we are just with Ben Hammond Phillips here, also the Racio Racing team, although I don't think he did quite as much of the Ikigai series of races. Dimitri Roz there, who'd also done a few of the Ikigai racing, and just behind him we can see James Melville, who's quite a strong all-round rider. He's pushing out 5.3 there. I think he's going to catch Dimitri Roz quite quickly.
Well, I can see just down the list there, Casper Heiderdam. He's a very strong rider. We saw him in the Ikigai events, so I imagine he'll be doing very well this evening.
See, Casper must have joined late because he wasn't in there when you asked me for my prediction tonight.
But look at that, he's already overtaken and steamed past Ned Bowen. So Ned, we know, has got a few wins in this series already. He's much more of a crit specialist rather than a pure time trialist. But yeah, that really shows Casper's absolutely flying. He's going for it. He's up over 6 watts per kilo. Ned's no slouch. But Casper, you just see him already up the road. He's well into that red zone. Hopefully he's not gone out too hard. Not going to fade, but we shall see. One to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on Casper there. He's pushing out 420 watts. If I remember rightly, he was able to do that for good portions of all of the races that we saw him in. And I think he'll be able to stick at that throughout the whole ride. He's got a good high cadence there as well, which is usually good for if you can stick out that power at high cadence. In my experience, you can usually keep it going.
Well, I've got about 45 seconds before my start time, so I'm just making sure that I'm not going to miss that. But yeah, 400 watts, that's a very good power output there from Heiderdam. That's not off the charts, shall we say, but yeah, let's keep an eye on him. You can see a few more riders. I'm just in the pair and just seeing them depart, so 20 seconds now, and I'm going to be trying to give this my all, so I'm not going to be commentating much today, I'm afraid. This one's going to be mostly on you.
I've had a good coffee. I think I'll be able to manage this one, get through it. It's not going to be the longest I've commentated on, so you might have some ramblings coming out of me, but I'll keep chatting through. Back with Carlos Sela here. He's pushing out 342 watts. He's closing in on Ned Bowen as well. I think, as Mike said, not one of Ned's favourite events. Quite often likes to linger around in the pack a little bit and attack with the very strong sprint that he's shown that he has. Olaf's of the South African New Zealand team. Johan, he's been quite a good rider, often animating this race series from the front of the pack. Him and his teammate quite often doing little forays off the front of the pack and keeping the racing interesting. Have to see whether he can maintain this sort of power all the way through the race as well. Just a helicopter view here. You can see Wilson, Poniatowski, Felian, Nygren there. Further back down the line, Poniatowski is coming up on Wilson, and Feely there as well is closing in. Mike Aid, one of the OTR racing guys, he's up at 280 watts there. Heart rate of 175. I think it'd be interesting to see with this TT racing with a sustained effort all the way through, what sort of heart rates people are putting out, whereas we see them quite often in the pack and they're enjoying the draft and being able to recover and then push. The TT efforts, it's solo, there's no drafting enabled in the game, so you have to power yourself all the way through, no respite, and tends to be that your heart rate does just gradually climb and climb and climb. If you've gauged it right, you'll climb all the way till the end of the race. If you're a little bit like me and you get carried away, then you can find that you have to have a little bit of a recover mid-race on these TTs. About with Andrew Beale, it's putting out between 280 and 330 watts there. It's jumping around a little bit, his power. Not quite sure why he's doing that. It's no cadence meter enabled. You see his heart rate there, 166. This is Ellis, David Ellis. He's putting out 320 watts, 310 watts-ish there. Heart rate's a little bit lower than some of the other riders that we're seeing there, but he looks like he's being closed in on by Lorbecki there. Lorbecki's going red. Again, another thing to watch on these TTs, you've only got a 5-second distance between the man in front of you and yourself when you set off. It can be very tempting to try and close down that distance too quickly. You can put in matches and you can go too soon thinking you're going to catch that man, and occasionally you do think you're going to get the draft when you get to them, because in a mental way you're still seeing that as a target. Get to the back of that rider, hook on, get the old bungee cord attached and have a breather, but when you get to them there's no draft, there's no respite, and all of a sudden you're hitting the red and you're starting to fade. Kevin Unsworth here coming up on Lorbecki. He's keeping the distance solid there. He's putting out a good solid power at 360 watts there, and Wouter Claes just behind him. Wouter has been very strong in the Ikigai series, very strong in the Omnium that we had during that, and he just seems to be pegging back slowly here on Kevin Unsworth. Kevin's upped his power a little bit there. Wouter Claes, very strong rider. He's putting out 350 watts there. I have a feeling there's something wrong with his heart rate monitor there. 39. I think we might have a small technical there. It could be that he's waiting for his the sweat to get the contacts correctly connected on that one, to get good contact on his chest. And just coming through on the halfway banner, that'll be the halfway of the first lap, not halfway of the entire event. We did 2 laps of this course to make up to 10 miles, 15.6 kilometers. And here's Kruger, the other of the Johan Olaf's partner in crime, the South African-New Zealand team. He's coming through at 360 watts there. The speed is 35 kilometers per hour. This is David Buckley. He's got WCC there, his team name. It's 300 watts there, he was pushing up momentarily. It does look like he's just closing in on Kruger there, also of the South African New Zealand team. Just behind him we've got Austin, Peter Austin, and Peter Austin's 300 watts there. I think we're just on a slight climb here as we're going up through the course. It is a fairly flat course all the way through, but there is, just in the middle of the lap, there is a little bit of a climb. Nothing too challenging. There's only 43 meters of elevation in total. That was Skudlerek. And we are at 270 watts, a little bit lower in raw watts than some of the other riders. On a flatter course like this, it is the raw watts that matter. Watts per kilogram are not going to have as great an effect on this sort of course. It is just going to be looking at your raw watts, and the higher the raw watts, the faster you're going to go. So TTs do tend to favour the slightly heavier riders because they are capable of doing that. Anders Brathenhorst there just asking, is this part of a race series? It is part of a race series. It's part of the Westerly VR race series. We're in the 3rd season of this race series, and this is the 9th of that season. Very well run race series by Dave Morrison. Started when the pandemic hit, and they've been running continually fortnightly ever since. Incredibly well put on. Dave runs with courses that he knows well from his local area, and he quite often gives a live video of the course prior to putting it out. Like the actual IRL course, he'll ride it and do a video of it prior to putting the course out in the virtual world. So yeah, so the standings, if you go to RGTDB, they are linked as races. I'm just going to have to check for you. Not sure if they're actually down as a series on there. Yes, they are. So if you go into rgtdb.com, this is an answer to where can you see the standings of future races. Go to rgtdb.com, click the series button at the top, and you can see the Westerly VR series, and you can go through there to see the races that are outstanding and completed. So at the bottom of the list there, we've got the upcoming races, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 more races. Antoine Renault just chipping in there that they are also on the West London Cycling website, and also Dave Morrison is very good at putting out the details on Facebook. So if you go to the RGT users group on Facebook and go to the events section, they're also listed there as well. And Dave Morrison's a frequent contributor to the website, to the Facebook group, so you can always catch him and ask any questions that you have further about the series there. Really good series, really worth getting involved with. You don't have to take part in the full series. You can race just one race, race as many of them as you want. Very inclusive group. You won't be penalised just for racing one. You're welcome to join in. But with Rob Miller pushing out 318 watts there, and we've got Nick Greenhouse just behind him, who was my pick before Casper Heiderdam shot off into the distance. And just behind Nick there, we can see our Mike in the distance. Is he closing on Nick? Nick's putting out 350 watts there. Nice steady heart rate at 152. Just coming down slightly on the descent, so I think he's having a slight breather there. Mike's putting out 350 watts there. Just ease that back a little bit. Cadence of 91. Heart rate is up there for Mike. He's going up at around about 180. But I think he can see Nick in the distance there, and he's eager to close that gap to one of his competitors. A little bit of rivalry between Mike and Nick. A little bit of rivalry between Mike and everybody. You can see Nick's just passed in front of his rider there in front of him, Scudler, I think it was. Back with Francois Riker. Francois has been a frequent rider on the platform. Had a little bit of a break for summer, but I believe his weather in Belgium's not treating him too well at the moment, so he's back doing a little bit of virtual racing. He's got a power there of 335, cadence of 82. Unusual to see Francois in the flatter TTs. He is usually more favouring the courses with a bit of elevation. He does like to climb. Speed there of 40 kilometers per hour. He's in his red zone. I think he's brought a little bit of fitness from his road racing out into the virtual world. And Antoine Renault commenting there, it's a nice turnout as always on the Westerly races. And yeah, there's always a good bit of competition. There's a nice number of riders. As I say, Dave puts in a lot of time and effort, and keeping communication open with racers over their own club website, but also Facebook, and putting details out on RGTDB as well. So there's a lot of access for riders to find the links to get involved. Francois just letting on there to another rider, and he's closing in rapidly on Mike there. And back up with Bergqvist here. Bergqvist, I think, is doing around about 43.7 kilometers per hour as an average there. Which is not a slouch speed at all. Francois, it's about 42.3 kilometers per hour on an average. Back up with Rob Miller now. Rob Miller's pulling away steadily from Buckley there. Nick Greenhouse just keeping very steady power there, and maintaining gaps. Mike Aid in front of him, who seems to be pulling away from him slightly. Gary Twiss in the inset window there, in his amber power range. Mike 8 there just momentarily dropping down into the blue-green sections. Mike's power is bouncing around a little bit there. He's not keeping it too steady. I'm not sure what that reason is for that, whether he's having a little bit of trouble with his gearing, or whether he's potentially gone out a little bit too hot there. And Nick's just closed the gap on him. It's gone down from 90 metres very quickly to closed on Mike Aid there. And you can still see as we pass him, his power is bouncing around all over the place there. any number of reasons for that, the physical issues as well as perhaps some technical issues. I'll maybe find out about that after the race. Austin here coming through, 275 watts. He's approaching the middle of his second lap, 5 kilometers remaining. Back with Bergqvist here, 4.3 watts per kilogram. And he's just into the descent here. A tricky thing on these slight descents is to try and keep the power in. All the way down. It's not a steep enough descent to just freewheel it and let gravity do the work. You need to keep hitting it all the way through this. And Heiderdam is just about to crest that small climb now and starting his descent. We'll keep an eye on the power bar. We'll probably see briefly that the power drops from Heiderdam as he crests, and then looking for the right gearing as he goes into the descent. Got his power there at 300, dropped slightly from where we saw him at the beginning of the race. So he's back up into the red zone now. Mic on camera. So, for all those that were wondering, that is the face of somebody in pain and struggling to maintain consistent power throughout, and possibly seeing their rivals pulling away from them as well. Ned Bowen there with only 3 kilometers left to go. Ned's 270 watts there. Woods Clace just cresting on that small climb, and he's down to 3.1 kilometers to go. He's got Ned Bowen in front of him with 105 meters. Kevin Unsworth, 280 watts. Again, just coming up on the crest of this climb, and then we've got Lightfuss, Eric Lightfuss, 215 watts there, 33 kilometers per hour. No heart rate monitor, so it's hard to see how much this is hurting Lightfuss here, whether they're just out for a steady ride or whether they're really putting the effort in. Ellis is coming up on them, closing in on them. There's no draft to be had, Ellis, so get past them. See whether Lightfuss sees Ellis there and just increases his tempo. Bergqvist coming in on the closing yards of this ride. There's only 830 meters left to go. Has he overcooked it? He's eased up massively on the power there. Heiderdam. And he looks like Heiderdam's being caught by Johan Olofs there, the South African New Zealand. Heiderdam power's fluctuating a little bit there. He went right down into the pale blue. Important with the TT like this that you keep the power on all the time, but it looks like Heiderdam's gone into a sprint there. It's 4.6 watts per kilogram. Olofs emptying the tank now. He's catching Heiderdam. That doesn't look like Heiderdam's done very well, or as well as we had anticipated on this course. He's slightly for the corner there. A pair of them entering into sprints, going to the line, only 300 meters left. Back to Bergqvist there. And Bergqvist just rolling home. Bergqvist perhaps seeing his time, not willing to commit any more time. Olofs has gone past Heiderdam. Bergqvist. 4.1 watts per kilogram. He's not up in his red power zones there, just tempoing it. And again, we just saw his power drop out there briefly, back into the blue, green. 3.6 watts per kilogram. Heated on there, just pushing on for the line. Olaf, just a pair of them running together to get to the line. Heated arms putting a little bit of extra effort there to get back. And just Heron unable to start this race for some reason. See Garwood coming up on the line now. Garwood's coming up the line there, and Dave Morrison coming through with the Francois Ike still coming through, and Nick Greenhouse there putting in the big power, 5.3 watts per kilogram for this last section. We see Kruger, and that's Christoph Contant from the Pedalers that we've not seen for a little while. We saw him going past some of the riders, but we've not gone in on him. We see Kruger, the other rider from the South African New Zealand's Contant from the Pedalers team comes through. We're seeing powers going into the red zone as people are seeing the finishing line approaching. Message from Falt Levy and from Mike, a personal message there saying, "Go Mike, you've got to put it all on the line. You're being watched, Mike." Nick Kruger's gone past Kruger. Nick Greenhouse gone past Kruger, and we've just got the results coming up there. And Johan Olofs has pulled it out of the back there to go past Casper Hededam and take the hot seat. A clear 15 seconds faster than Hededam. Just with Gary Twist live in screen there. You can hear that Mike's approaching the finish line there. I can tell from the noises that he's just gone over the line. We might not hear from him for a few seconds.
You might hear some grunting. Oh.
With Wilson here, 36.9 kilometers per hour. Just doing a little bit of quick maths. I think that Johan Olofs was doing an average speed there of 43.4 kilometers per hour, which is pretty tidy racing. Nick Greenhouse come through in third place currently. Johan Olofs still in the hot seat.
But Nick has taken Casper there by 6 seconds. He had a really strong ride, did Nick? He came past me on lap 1 and I didn't see him again. And that's why 40 seconds ahead of me there in the standings.
Mark Robot and
so
Mike
that's a good-
Shout there.
Oh yeah, where is he?
He's coming in 12th currently.
Oh. I beat my prediction. I'll take that.
I think I gave Nick Greenhouse the shout there for the win. So he's coming in 3rd. He's on the podium. I think that's better than your rider did.
Possibly. I don't know. I'm not very good at maths. You seem to be the one who's good at quick maths.
Well, you did pick Mark.
Yeah, Mark Rowbottom. I saw lots of comments on the Olympic TT from some of the riders and some of the people watching it saying, if you're not hurting, you're not going hard enough. Or just a balance. If it feels easy, it is. If it feels hard, you're going to blow up. Finding that sweet spot in between.
Yeah, very difficult race in the TT. And just by with Gary Twist now. He's coming in with his speed at the moment 36 kilometers per hour.
So I did get my numbers slightly the wrong way around. I was a bit excited, I think. I was a bit stronger on the first half than I was on the second half. Was not hanging on. I wasn't dying completely, but yeah, second lap was tough. So I think I averaged around about 335 watts for the whole race there. But I was a bit quicker on the first lap compared to the second lap. There's folks there again in the comments. If the TT doesn't hurt like hell in the end, you've gone too easy. Likewise, if you can still sprint to the line, you've gone too easy. So I think I managed to get up to 450 watts as I approached the line. So not close to my normal sprint. So hopefully that meant that I left enough out on the course.
Yeah, there's, seems like there's too many ways to go too easy in a TT. I'm always blown by the end, blown by the middle, and then hanging on. So. There's a fair few new names for me.
Yeah. Who you spotted? Who's new?
Well, there's the rider we're currently looking at, which is Hochberg, I think.
Yeah, American rider is that?
Yeah.
That's why they got the American flag there. Yeah, they seem new. Eagle Cops on the YouTube stream, just saying good luck to everybody. Wish he could be riding. Not sure where he is, but he's a very strong rider. So I'm sure if he was riding, he would have knocked me down the place. But yeah, it'd be good to see Igor back out on the virtual road soon.
Yeah, he's a fantastic rider, Igor. I see a lot more of his back wheel than he sees of mine.
When he's lapping you, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a several-time amateur world champion, is Igor. It just shows the quality of some of the riders, you know, that we're racing against week in, week out, being a virtual platform, riders from all over the world. You just don't quite know who you're up against, do you? But yeah, there's some real talents on here. And Igor is certainly one of those riders, but it does make you lift your game when you're racing them. So I certainly don't resent having to race him, because I know he helps me take myself up another level.
See, hearing this information from you makes me feel a little bit better about getting dropped by him every time. Just a quick word there. It's the rider that we were talking about before is Emily Hochberg. I don't know whether they're intentionally riding as a male avatar, but if you go into the, I know that some ladies would rather ride as a male avatar to avoid any unwanted communication, shall we say. But if you do go into the equipment, you can choose your avatar in RGT, and there's a few different male and female avatars to go through, as well as the umpteen different kits that you can choose, and a wide selection of bikes. It is all aesthetic for the bikes and the kit, but it makes your rider individual to you, and also if you're part of a team, you can all choose the same team kit, and it does help quite a bit when you're in the heat of a battle, when you're racing hard, to see if it's a friendly wheel up in front of you, and one that you should be letting go or perhaps helping to make a break, or whether it's somebody that you need to chase down. It can help having that kit.
So I know Eagle's not in the race tonight, but he was, I don't know if he still is, but in 2016 he set the Slovenian hour record of 47.49 kilometers in 1 hour. So yeah, tonight he certainly would have given everyone an absolute feasting, I'd have thought. In international language, he would have beaten us all by quite a margin. But let's have a look at who we did have in the race tonight. Still got Lewis Ridge here. Great to see him still coming around. He's got about a kilometre to go. So yeah, let's whilst we're watching Lewis come round, let's round out the top 10. So like this top 10, I should be doing better at TTs. I need to work on that, but happy with that. Then Marcus Garwood, good performance by him in 9th. Matthias Bergqvist in 8th. Christoph Contant up ahead of the team in 7th. Was in 6th place. And the top 5, very strong ride there by Francois Eicher. We discussed him a little bit in the live stream there, the Belgian rider. Casper Heiderdam, 15 seconds off the winning time and 5 seconds off of the leaderboard. And then Nick Greenall, Riley's pick for the night, in 3rd place, taking the bronze medal. Jakob Skoskar, look at that, incredibly close, 2.27 seconds off the top step. So Jakob taking our silver medal, and Johan Olofs of the South Africa New Zealand team, 28 seconds, the only rider to go under 22 seconds, 4.5 watts per kilo. We saw him on the live stream. We saw him averaging round about, it was about 400 watts, I think we saw, didn't we, Riley, when we were following him? Very strong effort there, and overtaking them in the closing kilometre. But pretty close in the end between those top 2. Some slightly big gaps to go down. And this will be glad to be finished, and some of them possibly setting some 20-minute PBs. So we might see some FTP boosts this evening. We'll have to look at the chat later on. People always commenting on their Strava feeds and in the Discord channel. So please join us on those. We have got the link in our YouTube description. So that's the last ride around. I'm going to hand over to Riley, as always, for a final summing up. I thought you did a great job describing the action tonight, Riley. I was listening in whilst I was keeping my head down, so thanks for keeping us all entertained whilst I was suffering this evening. So your final thoughts then. I'll catch you all next time. Cheers, everyone.
No problem, Mike. It was nice to have an evening where I wasn't feeling bad because you were racing and commentating at the same time. It was nice for an evening to have you race and actually not be able to speak. So that made me feel slightly better about myself, and also finding out that Igor Kops has got quite a lot of talent to his name, and that's the reason why he drops me. Nothing to do with my riding skill and finesse. But yeah, moving back to the racing, some fantastic racing there. Always a little bit difficult on the TT to try and keep a track until the times start coming in and we can start to see the rankings coming through. We had shouted up Casper Heiderdam, who's been doing some great racing recently, and he has been looking really good in the TT events, and even on some of the events where they weren't TT, he rode them in a TT style. So expect to see some some great results from him in future TTs. Johan Olaf's great riding, and all of the riders, great riding by everyone. Just looking forward to the future. We've got Westley again in 2 weeks' time, and just coming up soon in the 30th to the 3rd of September, there's a quick little event that people might have seen being mentioned in the Giro d'Europa. So just keep your calendars free for that event during that period. And just like to say a quick one, if you are watching on Facebook, if you could like and follow the page from the ZMS live stream, and if you're watching on YouTube, if you could like and subscribe, hit the notification buttons on both those. You'll be alerted to any streams that we do in the future, and any videos and information that we put out, you'll get a notification of it. Recently did a video with Jeff Rooney, who's about to undertake a 12-hour furthest distance cycled on a virtual platform record attempt on RGT, which is a group ride attempt. He's going to ride it 12 hours. He's in a convention center doing it live, but anyone on RGT throughout the whole RGT world can use the event link and join in and do a few miles with Jeff. Give him a little bit of a virtual pat on the shoulder and give him some encouragement to get that record, which is not going to be an easy feat by any means, but he's put a lot of time and effort into it. And if you catch up with the video on the VCN YouTube channel, you'll see me having a chat with him and going through some of the difficulties that he's had to get to this point. Look forward to seeing you soon in the next stream, and catch up on some of the videos that we've done in the past on ZMS live stream. Check out estv.co, where these streams are pushed to as well, which you can pick up on your virtual TV, on your TV apps, on your Android boxes. I think I've done enough waffling for tonight. Speak to you next time. Take care.